On this edition of City Profile, I'll be talking with George Bray, Mayor of the City of Paducah. Please stay with us. Hello and welcome to City Profile. I'm Tom Butler, and on today's show we have a real treat. We have the Mayor of Paducah, who has graciously agreed to come in and talk to me for a while about things going on in our city. Thanks for joining me, Mayor.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Well, I like to do these interviews because I learn a lot when I do them, and I think that the folks that watch on Channel 11, on YouTube and Facebook also get a little bit more insight into what's happening in the city than by the 10-second sound bites they might get on a news channel or something like that. So we get a little bit more in depth about the issues and the things that are happening in the city. But before we get into current events, this is the first time you've been here since you were elected or since you took office in January. I want for you to just tell people who may not know still who you are, a little bit about your family, and why you decided to run for mayor of Paducah.
Well, Tom, I'm a lifelong resident of Paducah, other than a 10-year bout that I had when I lived up in Ohio. I'm the oldest of 9 children. I graduated from high school here in Paducah. And I went on to have a career in pharmaceutical distribution or healthcare supply chain. And I spent my life's work in that. I have 3 daughters and 5 stepchildren. And so we have a big family at home that we work with. And I ran for mayor because I felt like that I felt like that my skill sets that I had acquired over the life cycle of my career fit well with what Paducah needed to move it forward. So my skills aligned with good timing. The stars aligned. I was at the end of my career, and I was in a semi-retirement, and I saw it as an opportunity. I saw it as an opportunity for me to fulfill myself and continue to make an impact in my legacy and in my city. And I thought it was an opportunity for the city and the people that live in the city to benefit from my leadership skills.
And you won an election against an incumbent mayor, which is usually more difficult to do when somebody's been in office. It's harder to beat them in an election. What do you think the contrast was between you and the former mayor that persuaded people that you could do a better job running the city?
Well, I think it boiled down to experience. And perhaps my ability to develop relationships. I'm a big believer in the fact that relationships matter, and relationships are really the cornerstone of getting things done, whether it be in business or in any walks of life. And over my lifetime, I've invested a lot in relationships, and there's a lot of give and take in that. But relationships, they matter, and I believe that my ability to develop relationships and mine those relationships for the benefit of our city was one thing, and then my experience, my people skills, my leadership skills, the experience that I've had in leading people, leading organizations, working with people to accomplish common goals is really where I've excelled.
Well, let's build upon the relationship aspect that you mentioned. Paducah is probably not unique, but it's it's probably not the most common type of situation, is that Paducah resides in a county, and the county has a commission, and the city has a commission,
Right.
and the city has a mayor, and the county has a county judge executive. And so since you are automatically intertwined in a relationship, how does that work for you, and how is that relationship being developed, and do you feel like that there is good cooperation between the city and the county now?
You know, Tom, I believe we got a good start. I sat back for all of my career, all the time that I have lived here, and I've watched the city-county relationship, and I've seen opportunities for improvement. So, you know, that's something that I've been mindful of. But really more than that, you know, it's hard to really draw the lines. There are city limits, and, you know, the city is in the county. There's 65,000 people in the county, 25,000 people in the city. But as my friend Judge Clymer likes to say, you know, the city's in the county. So to your point, we are intertwined. And I believe that conflict or wrangling between the city and county really hurt our image. To not so much internally, although I think that's an issue, but anybody looking from the outside in and seeing how we all get along and whether or not we're pulling in the same direction and looking for the opportunities for all of us to get better, everybody in the city and county. And I think we do that best by working together, working as a team. And certainly there's going to be disagreements, there's going to be conflicts, but we keep those to ourselves, and we work through those, and we present ourselves as a unified community, you know, to the outside world. And I think that's extremely important in economic development, which has been one of my focuses. It's one of the things that I ran on in my campaign, was that we needed more and better jobs in Paducah. And I think one of the key areas that get more and better jobs is through the concept of economic development. And when a company that's outside the city and county is looking at settling into our community, and they see the way things are going on here, and I think they make decisions about the city and county.
So, of course, economic development is at the forefront of almost all we think about these days. Jobs and things like that. I can't hold you to your feet to the fire much right now because you're still pretty new at the job, but how do you think that's going? Are there any prospects that we can be looking forward to, or any announcements? Do you think that you are just making a good start to try to recruit some business and industry into the region?
Well, I think we have to give credit where credit's due, and there's been a lot of work done in economic development prior to me taking office. GPED converted themselves from a 30-member board to a 10-member board, and as the mayor, I'm automatically sit on GPED, so I've started going to meetings since January, and as I've gotten schooled on what's going on, and I understand better the way we move forward, the way we put our best foot forward, I'm very encouraged. Do we have more work to do? We sure do. We got a lot of work to do. But we've got a team. We've got a team at GPED. We've got a board at GPED that is very focused on doing the right thing and presenting our community as one that's progressive and working together. And so yes, I think we've got lots of opportunities.
And just for people who may not know, GPED, and correct me if I'm wrong, Greater Paducah Economic Development.
Yes, yes.
And what's the primary goal of that organization?
The primary goal of that organization is to bring jobs to the community.
Bring jobs to the community.
And then I think a secondary goal of that committee is to make sure that we are focused on those companies in Paducah, in the community, that are going to grow, because we have to remember that 2/3 of new jobs across the United States are generated by companies already in existence and in locations. So we've got companies out there in Paducah that are growing, and we have to make very sure that they have everything that they need in order to enable their growth, and that there are not barriers to their growth.
I know that we always talk about bringing in business, but what about supporting the businesses that are here? You know, I walk downtown and it's pretty cool down there. I like to see the eclectic mix of businesses and people that are there. How does the city support already established business?
Well, the city has an economic development specialist whose responsibility it is to work with GPED and make sure that we have our finger on the pulse of those companies. Now that's a big job because we have a lot of businesses in Paducah. We have businesses as large as 1, 2, or 3 people to businesses that employ hundreds and hundreds of people. So it's a challenging role, and the businesses, as you put it, the businesses that are downtown, the restaurants, the bars, the small shops, they're much different than the larger businesses that, you know, generate more employment opportunities for people. But they both play a role. And so Catherine Byers, who is our economic development specialist for the City of Paducah, is actively out there working with businesses. And we have a planning department at the city that administrates, for example, administrates a program to help people repair their roofs within a certain area of the city. Because some of the older buildings in Paducah, you know, the first thing that goes is the roof. And if the roof goes, you can't really maintain the building. So we do have a roof stabilization program. I think maybe in the new year, as the commission focuses on a new set of priorities in 2022, I think one of the things that we probably will take a look at is our economic development incentives. And perhaps talk about how to budget for and maybe refocus some of those incentives, and even think about whether or not you want to apply those incentives just to downtown, or whether you want to apply it. For example, we've got a South Side initiative going on that we've been focused on for several months now. If we want to stimulate development in the South Side, we could focus some of those incentives on a particular area of town. So we've got a lot more work to do and a lot of things to talk about.
All right. Let's switch gears just for a minute. When people run for office, they tend to tell you things that they're going to do, to make promises, to say they're going to make things better. When they get into office, sometimes things change, because you can't know exactly what's going on in an organization until you're a part of that organization. What surprises have you had on becoming mayor that you didn't anticipate when you were planning on running for the office?
Well, I think maybe in a couple of areas. Kind of broadly, I'll start broadly and then be more specific. Broadly, I think, you know, I'm a people pleaser and a problem solver. And one of the things I've discovered, I knew this, but it's hit me right smack dab in the middle of the face, and you can't please everybody. Just simply, there's some people that are going to either disagree with you or have a different opinion, or if they want you to solve their problem or figure out how to solve their problem, perhaps it's not a problem that's solvable. So, that's one thing that I guess I really knew in the back of my mind, but I've been reminded of that, if you would. And the other area, of course, is in jobs. It's in economic development. It's a huge task to bring better jobs to Paducah, more and better jobs to Paducah. And the mayor himself or herself really can't do that. I see myself in the mayor's role as a facilitator, someone who can enable a team to put their best foot forward. Not me by myself, just be one of the enablers, and to always be focused on making sure the team is focused on the right things and adding value to conversations and adding value to every meeting we have, and leading by example, because others see they see the leaders in our community, the way we act, and the way we conduct ourselves in meetings. And by leading by example, I feel like it makes a difference. And but it's hard. It's very difficult. I have called probably on at least 10 different companies since I've been mayor. I've taken it upon myself to go out and tour their facilities and thank them for being here, and making sure that they know that a leader in our community appreciates the fact that they're here, and that they contribute to the community and really the fabric of the community. So it is a priority, but it's a huge task and it takes time. And so in the 7 months that I've been in office, soon to be 8 months, I have just scratched the surface in that particular area.
That's one thing that a lot of folks say they're going to do, is they're going to bring jobs to their community. And in reality, you're not powerless, but you don't have a lot of influence over the folks that are looking at Paducah, except to make it an attractive place for businesses and industry to come. Is that correct?
That's correct. I think I would say that the mayor, the county judge, the leaders on the GPED board, those who are making decisions on how to approach companies, who to go see. Everybody's only got around 40 hours a week, and so you could be doing lots of different things. So you have to be very efficient with your time, very focused with your time, understand the ROI that you've got with the amount of time that you spend on a particular project. And at some point in time, you have to say, I've got to focus on this and not that for the time being. And so these are important decisions, and I think, again, I think the leaders in our community can contribute to that effort. And our view and our opinion is very important in those meetings. So we are making a difference.
So what do you think that that those businesses that you would like to come in, that the industry that we would all like to see come in, what are they looking for?
They're looking for the most efficient place to do business. They're looking. These are companies that ultimately their goal is their bottom line. Now, there's a lot of different ways they get to that bottom line, and one of the ways that they get to that bottom line is by attracting employees, attracting a high quality workforce. And one of the ways you attract a high quality workforce is the quality of life that we have here in Paducah. So quality of life projects that come along are very important, and because we create for the community a vision, an image, an opportunity for people to come and do things they want to do, whether it be for their children, People come here at different stages in their life. Some have small kids, some have teenagers, some are past that stage in their life, and they all have different goals and different aspirations for themselves at that point in their lives. So we have to create the environment here in Paducah to be attractive to the workforce, and that's all part of economic development.
Right. Let's get into, we only have about 8 minutes left in the show, so let's get into a few current events before our time runs out. Read one of the commission highlights press releases that are sent out after each city commission meeting, and it mentioned a state of emergency and regarding COVID. If people only read the headlines and see COVID, state of emergency in Paducah, they may not understand what that means. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that state of emergency actually is and who's affected by that?
Sure. Under KRS, the governor as well as the local leaders within communities have the power to deem when there is an emergency, or the state of emergency. And the state of emergency that we utilized to mandate a mask, wearing a mask, was the increase in the rate of COVID infections, the increase in the number of people in the hospitals, the uptick in deaths again, the infections among our children. I know we're going through a lot of turmoil in the schools, trying to figure out how to get open and make sure that we don't, end up with our kids on a lot of Zoom calls. So my leadership thoughts in this area are that for City Hall, the state of emergency applies to only City Hall, in that we are asking people, really saying to people, when you come into City Hall, you must wear a mask. Now, once you get into City Hall, if you're an employee and you're at a desk, then as long as you're working at your desk and you're within 6 feet outside, 6 feet or outside, then you can not wear your mask. This would apply to everybody, both visitors and people that work in City Hall. So I think for most employees, they wear their mask inside, and once they get to their desk and in their environment, they take them off and they're able to work. When they leave their office, they have to put their mask back on. For visitors, if you're coming in to pay a tax bill, if you're coming in to talk with somebody, in the fire department or one of our particular departments in there, you simply need to have a mask on and wear it while you're in doing your business within City Hall. So that's the extent of our state of emergency that we've established for the time being.
Okay, so really it affects City Hall, the employees, and people doing business inside City Hall.
That's correct.
All right. The other issue that I hear about a lot that has kind of morphed from an aquatic center to now as an athletic complex. How is that different, and what's going on in that area?
Wow, that's a big question.
Sorry.
So you said morphed. So yes, we did have a project on the books for last year for a potential wellness center. That swimming pool, aquatic center was a big part of that. The citizens and the commission deemed that not a viable project over the long run. We had already sold $20.5 million in bond funds, and so we had those funds available to us. The county began last year, really, leading a project to increase sports tourism in the Paducah McCracken County area. And they created a separate sports tourism commission and began collecting an additional room tax. And that room tax was always designated, for this sports tourism area. As part of that, initiative, they identified an opportunity to build an outdoor sports complex and tap into the sports tourism market. The difference between this project and the previous project that you talked about is that this is a joint city-county project. The county came to us. They asked us to be full partners after a little bit of discussion about how we would go about that and how they would support us on some other projects. We agreed to that. We agreed to that partnership because we believe that the outdoor sports park is something that's good for both city and county residents. So it's not a swimming pool, not an aquatic center. It's an outdoor sports complex that's going to have baseball fields, soccer fields, softball fields, pickleball courts, and the opportunity for both people coming in from outside of the community to pay to use those facilities, and people within the community the opportunity to use those facilities.
I know in many communities that is a big draw. If you have good facilities and good support facilities outside, if there's enough places for people to stay and for enough things to do when they're not playing or being at the athletic complex, then that can really be a big boost. Is that what we hope is going to happen?
Well, not only we do hope that, we absolutely believe that it is going to happen. We believe that there will be hotel development, there will be restaurant development, there will be there'll be opportunities for things for kids to do outside of that time when they're actually playing soccer or baseball or softball. So we definitely think it's going to generate more development in the area, and we're convinced of it. We wouldn't be building it if we didn't believe that, and we're soon going to be hopefully probably in 2022 actually thinking about how we book our first tournaments. So yes, we wouldn't be going into this if we didn't absolutely believe that this is going to generate economic development and growth for Paducah and McCracken County.
Sounds like a good stopping point to me. We're just about out of time. Didn't get quite through my list of things to talk about today, so that means you'll have to come back again. We'll sit down and talk about the things that are going on in the city of Paducah. So I'd like to thank Mayor George Bray of the City of Paducah for coming in today and talking with me on City Profile. I'm Tom Butler. Join us again next time.